Welcome to season 2 of All Things Plants. Season 1 was really amazing. We had a chance to sit down with artists like French Verde, the chef, the plant-based sushi chef, and more. We also sat down with another creative, Shala. We sat down with Chris Green's Paints, an amazing fine art painter and more like community leader and teacher, influencer. We haven't released that one yet. We recorded it last season, but we're going to be dropping that soon and hopefully get a chance to sit down with him again. But this season, we're kicking it off strong. We are going to be connecting with people who really have this part of themselves that truly love the plant world. There's some aspect of plants that they really appreciate. And we want to talk about their relationship with a certain aspect of plants in their life while also getting to know them. We want to focus even heavier on the connecting through community with plants this season. So our first episode is going to be with a really, really cool, amazing individual. Her name is Shauntel Davis. I really wanted to speak to her because I had just got done listening to another podcast called The Telepathy Tapes, which an aspect of it is about autistic, nonverbal people being extremely talented, gifted, and being able to communicate in an even deeper, more intimate way through telepathy with others. And with science to back it, it was really interesting. And I really wanted to have this conversation with people who had more knowledge on it than me within my community. And I posted something about it on socials, and she reached out to me. She wanted to talk. And I'm like, oh, well, let's talk about these magical people that you have had an experience with, since she's a prior ABA therapist. But she's also a plant-based chef, along with other foods that she prepares. She has a food business. She has a cool relationship with her grandfather that really inspired her. And a lot of us have connections with our grandparents that are very special. And it's a cool way for us to connect. So she's like a lot of us in certain ways and very amazing in her own way. And I want us to connect to that. And I wanted to talk to her about, the plant things that she does. So tap into this first episode where we speak with Avocargo owner, and check out the episode. You're going to dig it.
Listen, I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm thankful.
We is honored to have you, honey.
Because only certain people could drag me out during this season.
Oh, listen.
That's for sure. This is not my favorite season at all.
Yeah, it's cold outside.
All right. So welcome to All Things Plants, the podcast, season 1.
Season 2?
I was about to say now. I know it's season 2.
Damn. Season 2, episode 1. We have our guest today, Miss Shauntel. She's an educator and holistic health advocate, as well as an entrepreneur and an all-around amazing community member. So the episode tonight, we're going to call it The Magic of Autism, Perspectives of the Telepathics.
I love that.
So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to get to know a little bit more about the woman behind Avocargo.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's get to know her. So, let's start with just tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing. Who is Shauntel?
Ooh. Oh, it's so many layers, multi-layered, but I would say my story begins in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
And I grew up in this community of chefs. My grandfather was a chef in the military. And then he worked for this long-standing diner, Fifth Avenue, the heart of New York, across from the cathedral, in this city on Fifth Avenue called Prime Burger. So that is where I think my chef experience peaked or started or was born. We would take trips down there as a family, and it was exciting because, you know, you're going to the city, Fifth Avenue. Back then and even now, it's still a ritzy zip code. We would go down there to visit my grandfather, and they had to have the pearly white chef coats on. They greeted you with bow ties and, those older men that have the manicures. And, I would say back in the days, they were the cat daddies. So,
Cat daddy.
my grandfather was a head chef at this Prime Burger. And I was introduced to this signature burger with a signature sauce and, different types of desserts, pecan pies and chocolate cakes.
How
but
old were you?
I would say when we started, when I remember visiting, maybe around 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
But it evolved after that to, I guess, reestablishing family, because I think at that time there was some discourse in our family, and these are the things that brought us together. And even furthermore, my grandmother, which wasn't my biological grandmother, that I had no idea who she was, because my grandmother that I claim is my grandmother is really my step grandmother, and she was a better chef, and exposed me to various cultures. Like we would sit and watch Julia Child's.
Oh, come on.
Every day. We would take trips to Chinatown, and you would see the live eels swimming in a fish tank. And New York was just a melting pot of cultures and food, and that's where it all began for me. Had no idea it would end up here, but that's where it all started for me.
So when did you move to Virginia?
I moved to Virginia, let's see, about 17, 18 years ago. And I have a funny, quick story about that.
Okay.
I first came to Virginia on a vacation with my aunt and uncle. Fell in love with not only the water and how warm it was here and how friendly everyone was, but Captain George's. My favorite seafood place.
The $40 buffet.
Oh, but back
Like
then
60.
it was probably just as expensive.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with it, and it inspired me to move here.
Damn.
I said, I am going to move to Virginia Beach one day.
For a restaurant?
Foodie.
That's a real big foodie right
A
there.
big foodie.
Yeah.
And I was like 14 years old. And the shopping, the outlets were popping.
The
then.
shopping?
Yes.
I've never heard somebody from New York say that.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
But listen, it was my first time ever shopping at an outlet.
Okay.
Okay. For a city kid, an outlet where you could get all these designer clothing. It's not like that now for me, you guys.
Cool.
I painstakingly missed the shopping in New York.
Yeah.
But back at 13 years old, to be able to go and coach and get multiple purses and Nikes and all of that stuff, Virginia Beach became a dream. And even as I got older, this was like the hip hop vacation of the world.
For sure.
Back during that time, I don't want to tell my age, but
Yeah, was that Freaknik? No, what was here?
Well, it used to be stuff like 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend. Everyone from up north, we made sure we would hitch a ride down here if we needed to come down here. We also came down here for my senior trip.
Really?
So it was Virginia Beach was a recurring theme for me. I met Ja Rule down here, Steve Harvey down here.
Yeah.
I mean, Allen Iverson. I mean, it was the mecca of hip hop at a point, and although New York was like that as well, I think it was different with the beach and you guys remember how it used to be on the strip?
No, now that you're talking, it's bringing it back.
Okay,
it changed. Yeah, no, it used to be really good back then.
They wanted to make it a family tourist attraction, and I wonder how that's working out for them now. Yeah, no. We can see how it's working out for them now.
For sure.
So embrace the culture, people. Embrace the culture.
They try.
Yeah, when I first saw the no cursing signs.
No cursing signs.
Yeah, there's no foul language. You can get fined in Virginia Beach on the oceanfront. Yes, sir.
For language?
Yes, for language.
That sounds crazy to me.
Yes. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, a big change is really coming, and it did.
How is that even legal?
But now that it's crazy how I completely forgot about that time span.
Yes.
Now that she's talking about it, Virginia Beach used to be popping. We used to go out there like
money
Granby Street.
Used to be here, and as you can see, the way they tax the residents now, they are definitely missing that hip hop culture tourist attraction.
Pharrell trying to bring it back.
He is, and I believe Pharrell, the love of my life. We will get to that and how he has changed the life of our cargo in so many ways. Yes. Unbeknownst to me, but yes.
That's dope. Hopefully, we just get there.
I know, right? Because it's a limited time, and if y'all continue to let me talk,
we love it. We're gonna get to know about you.
So Virginia Beach became that goal that I wanted as an adult to come here, represented a piece of hip hop and food culture at the time.
Yeah. You said this is when you 14 years old visiting?
When I was 14, and if I must say the age, I don't know, but I am definitely closer to 50 now.
No.
Okay. Yes, 46. I'll be 47 this year.
You look wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you.
I'm in my 40s too, so it's all
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Damn, for real.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah.
Wow, look at y'all.
And look at you, Elle. You was a baby. You growing up too now.
87.
Oh.
Right behind me, though.
Yeah, closer to 40 than 30.
Yeah. I just touched 40. I'm about to be 41 soon.
Yeah.
Okay, babies. Okay. I mean, I think my boo is younger than you, Elle, but that's a vibration of the heart. Oh yes, he is.
That can't be right. She's like 38.
Oh yes, it is.
I'm 38. I don't do age.
37?
No, for real, I don't.
Listen,
37.
I said I'm going to do that this year because it's getting harder to keep up. I'm in my 40s and it's just like, I'm closer to 50 and it's just like, okay, not, anything tied to my age specifically, but I'm tired of counting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, age is a mindset. Age is all a mindset.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I agree.
I haven't counted since I was 23. Something happened at 23. Someone turned me down because of my age. And after
no,
he turned me down. He said, because you're too young. He was like, have a nice day, young lady.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And after that,
I would like to meet that man because I think that was a disciplined man.
Very disciplined.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was ready. You know what I mean? But he didn't know. He didn't give me a chance. So after that, I said, you know what? If people are going to judge me based off my age, I'm just not going to tell you. So I just forgot it after then.
I like that.
So when people ask me my age, they think I'm being an asshole when I say I don't know my age, but I just don't.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I really like that. I think that I really
Please
like that.
Please adopt this. I can't be the only one out here.
No, I love that for us.
I gotta be.
I love that for us because I heard one time in a spiritual sense that we shouldn't celebrate our birthdays every year, even though I want to celebrate when I come into this world. However, there's a spiritual sense and. Yeah,
it's an energy thing. Like I think it was C. Andy Rohan who wrote Right Use of Will. I'm not sure if you were a part of that book club at the House of Consciousness. So no, okay. Well, I think she spoke on it, but it's you confirming that you are aging. Thus, by you confirming it, it is going to happen.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I have to celebrate.
I mean,
the whole month that I graced the earth with my presence.
And your sign is?
And I'm going to celebrate, but I don't know if I want to, focus on the age piece now. Okay. This is the day I came to the earth, and that's what we're celebrating.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And what's your sign?
I'm a Taurus.
You're a Taurus.
Rule the earth, okay?
Oh, Taurus. Another earth sign. So we got Capricorn, Taurus, Gemini.
Oh, wow. We have to watch out for the Gemini, Capricorn. But Capricorn and Taurus, we work best together.
We do. I love me a Taurus.
Yes. You know what's so funny?
What?
Capricorns, I love the discipline of Capricorns, but my mother's a Capricorn, and I don't think they're really nice to their children. But that's a whole nother conversation.
I don't have kids, so I can't speak on
It's hard
that.
for me to subscribe to that whole horoscope thing. Say, hey, a Gemini got these traits, a Capricorn. I don't subscribe. I think that everybody is who you are based on your situation and everything you're around. It's hard for me to get my head wrapped around the horoscope thing. I think I told her last time that I did a test one time. I took a different horoscope, like a Gemini, and I gave it to a Cancer. But I gave it to him saying, like, with the word saying it was a Cancer horoscope. They was like, oh yeah, that applies to me. I did the same thing for other people. And I think, in my mind, when they read it, you find ways to make it relatable to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I half agree with you in the sense of, I think people make things adaptable to them because they're told, and that's one of the biggest issues, that we have to relearn everything that we've learned. However, on the other flip side of that, I absolutely believe that the moon and certain times can predict certain characteristics and behaviors in people. Does that apply to everyone? No, but I think it is a big deciding factor in certain characteristics.
That's fair. I think that I'm just logic. I'm a logic guy, so it's hard. Sometimes I just lean on logic, and if I can't find the logic, it's hard for me to accept it as a reality. You know what I mean? But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that it's not a flaw, but it's a, you know what I mean? It's one of the things about me that it's just with everything. It's like I don't believe anything unless I experience it. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's for better or worse. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to get my head wrapped around things I can't tangible. But it kind of ties into the autism thing because a lot of us are like materialism people. Like if we can't measure it or test it, we don't believe it. A lot like humans in general.
So how does that affect your spirituality?
I think my self-awareness is high. You know what I mean? I think I practice my self-awareness, so I think I am very in tune with myself, if you want to call that spiritual. I just think I took the time and did the work on myself to understand what I'm going through, when I'm going through it, and try to think through my thoughts versus act on my thoughts and my emotions. And I think that's just how I rock with everything. So, I don't know. I think my spiritual is pretty level. I disconnect whenever I get negative or if I feel like I'm in a bad space, I go in. I don't show it to the rest of the world, especially the people I love. You know what I mean? I don't want to put that energy on them. So
that's great discipline. I guess for me it was more about the tangible statement, like what? Spirituality and how that relates to tangible items or things you can logically see. But the key word that you said for me that helped me understand where you were coming from is the fact that you go
Mm-hmm.
within. And I think that that's important because the answers are within. So
yeah, like a lot of times my anger is not anger. My frustration with somebody else is not really me being frustrated with them. And as long as you can figure that out, navigate that space, I think that kind of protects me and my energy. Because I'm big on energy, period. You know what I mean? If your energy don't align with me, or if it, you know what I mean, if it's off, it's off. I don't even try to fight it.
Absolutely. And to tie back to the topic, right? Because I see the types of gods and goddesses I'm working with in this room. That's a big part of an autism behavior, right? Energy. A lot of the things that they do, the way they live, is very energetically oriented. So if you don't have a balanced energy, they can feel that, and it will drum up behaviors that are not the norm to society.
Yeah, this topic is so intriguing to me.
So yeah, it really is. So what was your introduction to autism? How did you get there?
It's funny because not to speak too much to anyone else's experiences, but I think that what they call autism now has always existed. And I say that in the sense of feeling things energetically, right? Mm-hmm. And what is the reason? I think, how can I put this in terms for the world to understand? I think that maybe every decade or whatever, I'm just pulling this part out there, right? Mm-hmm. That certain things are sent here to teach us lessons, right? So I think with autism, I think those beings or however they interact with the chemicals they are given, because I'm a firm believer in that some things are triggered in the body and it may look like autism or Asperger's or they're just putting you in a category, right? But it is some type of gift, because even if you take a quiz, you know, some things that we do may be considered autism on a day-to-day basis,
I would
right?
agree.
Are we all on a scale in some kind of way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how do you really scale that? So my first interaction with it, I would say, would be from a very young age and interacting with my community and seeing autism show up in different ways. Like you have some people that, say for instance, they're going to be severe. I'll take myself for an example, like OCD, right?
Okay.
Or certain things have to line up a certain way. It's not every aspect of my life, but it just may be like the seasonings or whatever. And then sometimes you can zone in on that. Or the first thing when I walk into my kitchen, I know someone moved something because it wasn't exactly, you know, the way I put it. So just me with titles is something that I don't really like to. I'm doing away with titles these days, but if we say specifically autism, I think is special beings that just see things differently than we do. So encountering that from a very young age and finding a way to communicate with them, right? Because even as autism or being
maybe
diagnosed
nonverbal.
as autism, there's different levels, right? There's some people that can verbally communicate, some that cannot, some that's very intelligent in one area, like say they may be a whiz at school, but then they can't stop wetting the bed or you know. And if you know anything about bedwetting, not to say too much about myself, I wet the bed until I was probably 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
And there were certain things that occurred in my life that impacted that. So I think with autism, I think it's very dangerous diagnosing people as autistic. And that's my experience.
Yes. Go ahead.
Fire away at the questions, but that's how it started.
I'm curious to know what the dangers are for mislabeling someone autistic.
Because, for example, right, there's this guidebook. I want to say it's the DSM.
Yes.
And it's a book that therapists use to diagnose patients, right? If you guys know anything about the Big Bang Theory, the show with Sheldon.
Oh, the show.
Oh, I haven't watched the show, have you?
Love the show. And to me, a lot of the characters on there display autistic behaviors, right? But then they had this behavior like Asperger's. You guys will call that, right?
Yeah, Asperger's like when you just say things like bluntly, you just kind of don't cut no corners type thing.
I would say that, but I would say there's a certain genius intelligence as well that's connected to Asperger's, right? Like the way you may see numbers, may, make you may be 8 years old and, you may be like a calculus genius at 8 years old, just the way numbers flow to you.
Yeah. I think Elon Musk got Asperger's or something.
Right.
People used to tell me I had Asperger's because of my oddness, and I was good at math too.
Listen, and they took that out of the DSM. So a lot of our people that are diagnosed as autism are moved from that category, from Asperger's category to autism. And that's why I feel like it's dangerous, because what is autism?
Yeah,
what is it?
What is it? You're not getting the right treatment, and it wouldn't feel like it.
Right, but and that's when they say, when you hear about autism, they say it's a spectrum.
Right.
So what does a spectrum mean? It could be one behavior, two behavior, 20 behaviors.
Yep.
That is put in this category. That's the same with being black or white, being gay or straight. Like, we need to drop all of these titles and just relearn a person naturally. So that's what I mean, right? So my gift working with anybody that's on the spectrum has been just to meet them where they are. I don't want, obviously, as part of my job, I have to read this intake, but I know that a lot of things are biased. If you're in that therapy world, and you come from a certain money class, you're judged differently from people that's at a certain, another maybe upper echelon class system.
Okay.
And that is detrimental to the treatment and the diagnosis of autism.
So you was a teacher, right? Well, you did teach, right?
I did teach.
So I guess how did you combat that? Because in my mind, everybody feels like how you feel. Like you kind of have to define something and say, hey, how can we fix this thing if it's not the norm? You know what I mean?
Right.
So how did you navigate that? Try to teach these people or tell these parents, you know what I mean, that, hey, this might not be the way to go, when in a space where everybody's like, no, this is
right.
kind of how things go.
Just to back up a little bit, like I said, my first encounter with anybody that was deemed special needs made me deal with them on a foundation as a person first. These are the life experiences that I brought. And also, in my personal family, seeing certain mental health battles and so-called experiencing them myself made me look at things differently. So I went to school for education. I taught in a predominantly 90% Black community, and the things that I saw deterred me from teaching very early on before I could really do my internship. Brooklyn College here, so before I could even graduate, I was disturbed by the educational system.
Could you mention things like what? I'm just curious.
Things like the way we didn't have the freedom to teach our children the way we know they learn.
Okay.
It has to be by a schedule. It's standardized testing. It's 9 o'clock you have to be reading, and by 9:15 you have to be on math. Who can learn in an environment like that?
Yeah, wow.
So just seeing the flaws and the difference between public schools and private school. Private school, they're able to write their own curriculum. I think that if you're in certain communities, the curriculum is designed for you in such a way that you will not be able to grow. You're just thrown in, special education, and you may not have the same mental status as someone else. So these are the things that I saw in the system that stared me away, and I ended up working for this huge company in New York. I was the executive assistant to the medical director. Just fell into that type of position. And seeing the things that I saw at that level It was a Jewish organization, and they were in these communities. But again, you start being exposed to certain things, like certain behaviors. To me, maybe the powers to be at this organization suffered from certain mental health issues, and they were able to hide behind education because they were benefited that privilege because of the money they had. So they could fight these titles, if you get what I mean.
So does that look like not being diagnosed with something?
You may avoid being diagnosed, or you can hide behind your actual studies, your actual degree, your actual PhD. Because you're not a person of color. You have a certain intelligence, but maybe you have more than intelligence. Maybe you have certain behaviors that you recognize, but you get to hide. You're not in a certain class system, so you're not going to be diagnosed as autism. You're going to be called the medical director.
Yeah.
So it goes
really
deep.
interesting.
It goes very deep.
So labeling is also is race related as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I think about it, I have seen it happen because I'm seeing autism as something that's kind of magical and super intelligent now. But if I look back at my ignorance before I did the research and just like the overall idea of maybe the people that I know what they think about autism, I mean, not to be disrespectful, but back in the day, we would just call someone slow. That lets you know right then and there you think that someone is unintelligent. So I've seen I met a black man one time. He was probably in his 30s at that time. He said he was labeled as autistic growing up. And I could just tell that label dumbed him down. From that aspect. Yes. That label dumbed him down. He could be so much more, but I can tell he just accepted this box. So when he was in school, they talked to him like he was dumb, taught him like he was dumb. So he just grew up still acting like he couldn't maybe tap into his full potential.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, from that aspect. Because there's a difference between the verbals and the nonverbals, the functioning in life, I guess you may call it, autistic individuals and the ones who are nonverbals. Like I picked up a lady today when I was working, and she explained to me that she had to pull up on a teacher. She was sitting in the background. The teacher didn't even know that she was in the classroom. Because now I'm having conversations about autism with everybody.
Yes.
But I think because I'm having that conversation, I'm becoming in alignment with people. So now they're just randomly sharing experiences with me. So she said she was in the class in the backdrop. The teacher did not know that she was there. She was trying to explain something to her son. Her son didn't get it. And the teacher yoked her son up. And her son smirked. Her son smirked.
Because he knew.
Because he knew his mom was in the room.
Yes.
And she was like, why are you smirking? And he was like, my mama in the room. She said her jaw dropped. She's from New York too, the mother. So yeah, she went up there and she yoked the teacher up. But she said she tried to pull her son out of that class once she told them that, hey, I need someone to educate my son who's trained in teaching my son with his abilities. They didn't want to listen. So she said he ended up really falling behind because she doesn't have the teachings and the training to teach someone like her son.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think it's a natural gift. Like I said, growing up in these communities, I was exposed to these different titles and made it my personal business to tutor, be of support, befriend these, and I keep calling them beings because I think that they're special beings, right? And when you approach things like that, it humanizes it for you, right? You end up having a certain empathy because it's very closely related to, I would say, how I was treated as a person of color, but also looking the way I do. So I had to experience both sides, right? My mom being a very dark-skinned person and experiencing certain things in my household as well. So back to where I first started really recognizing this gift that I had working with special communities, right? It didn't first start out with autism. I really received a lot of my experience moving here. I had a trucking company at one point, so money wasn't the number one thing for me. As I said, initially with my educational experience and becoming a teacher and recognizing certain things, I didn't want to be in that type of an environment. I wanted to be in a more free environment. So moving here, doing the food thing, blah, blah, blah. It just, I believe I was put in certain spaces to grow. So I had this trucking company here, and I wanted to do something within a community. So I just happened to, first I started teaching with like preschoolers and kindergarteners. And then I saw this company advertising to be a mentor. And I was like, great, I get to mentor people and get paid. This is like when you went into people's homes, and I thought that would be beneficial because in any therapy background, it's very important for a therapist to be well versed on what your life looks like, your home life particularly, because that will tell you a lot about a person. So I was excited, and I remember getting my first autistic client. I want to say he was like 7 or 8 years old. He was a twin, and his twin was diagnosed with Asperger's, and he was autistic. And I believed he was titled autistic because he wasn't verbal per se.
Okay.
So that was number one, but super intelligent. And this is when I noticed that going into these homes, and you learn techniques. I picked up techniques from other people because I wasn't an ABA clinician at the time. It was just something that I think in this home I played a PCA role, like personal care assistant, that's really to work with the parents and help him learn like his ADLs, which is his daily living stuff, like using the bathroom. And I started to do a lot of research at that time because I really didn't have the training, but I had the compassion and the patience to really work with this child and really understand what was going on. And the first thing that I noticed is my energy. I had to clear my energy to work with him. I couldn't be frustrated with him, or he can tell, and his behaviors would act up. I couldn't impede my, say for instance, it's like, we know everyone learns different. And I'm like, okay, you have to do this first when you're using the bathroom. And he wanted to do it his way. And I had to be receptive to that in order to be able to build this trust and communication with him. And, it just went on and on and on. And then as he became comfortable and excited working with me, the veil in the household started to come down. And it was very enlightening, but scary at the same time, because I was in a biracial home. And I realized how certain racial whispers affected this household.
Was the man of color or the woman of color?
The woman was of color.
Okay.
And then I started seeing certain links in certain households of certain money status, because as I grow in that area, I met someone else that introduced me to a company that changed my whole world, and I became a trained ABA clinician.
Okay.
And they are based out of Norfolk. We're not going to talk about them too much because they still are in existence, but it's very important that I tell the story of how I started seeing certain links. Once I started to work with them, there were certain, and I'm not a medical doctor, you guys. I can just tell you from my experience and the things that I experienced in our homes of families that were raising autistic children. 9 times out of 10, they were either through IVF.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, the twins the
twins were IVF.
Yes.
Let's focus on the twins. I want to really
and I had
give the story to them.
3 or 4 families that I worked with that had twins, and at least one of them were autistic. So we could start there. And then my own investigation of asking each one of these families when they noticed the behaviors changed. Because it most certainly changed after these vaccinations.
So let's call him Thomas the twin. For Thomas the twin, is that when the parents realized he was changing behaviors after he received a vaccination?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think that some cases were more severe if you added IVF to that. Because remember, with IVF, there's a certain scientific chemical-based way that these children are being brought into the world. So I found that to be a link.
Okay.
With a lot of the families I worked with. Most of them they had twins and they did IVF, and they noticed a change in their children. All of the families noticed a change in their children after the vaccination. So I had another family. This was a family of color, and they had a child through IVF. She was a girl, and she was fine. She was on all her, my brain is a little foggy, but the steps. They measure all the children by steps. I forget the correct terminology for it, but she was on point with all her steps. Her first words, walking.
Okay.
The way she learned and everything. And after her last vaccination, she became nonverbal.
Yeesh.
So working in these homes, I started to hear these personal stories of when they noticed a difference in their child. And then even though I don't have biological children, I remember my niece going to daycare at 2 years old, getting her last shot and passing out. And she had this high fever. And at this time, we didn't know what she was battling, but it sounded like all of the same stories. She luckily, my niece came through it, but I think that there's a period where the vaccinations are different from when we had vaccinations.
I was going to ask that. Are they different?
Yes, because in my research, I want to say they added 40 more different chemicals to these vaccinations. So when we were growing up, because it was a certain time frame where we might have been vaccinated for measles or chicken pox, and now it's
hepatitis,
like and now it's like X, Y, Z, the whole alphabet is added. And the way they're doing it, like we probably had, I remember the little yellow card, again telling my age, right, the little yellow card of keeping up with it, but now they're doing it like all at one time or within a few weeks. So can you imagine a chemical overload on a child that's not fully developed? Their brain is not fully developed.
So my brain is working now. So So even with the medication part, right? Now I believe it makes total sense to me with the vaccinations and everything. But at the same time, I'm also looking at autistic kids as these special beings. So, like, you know what I'm saying? It's breaking my brain a little bit to think that it was caused by vaccinations, or was people just born with this special gift, no matter what they were injected with.
I, on a spiritual basis, don't believe we're born with any of these things. I think, as Elle would say, there's certain choices, right? I think that we choose our life path before we get here, right?
I agree with that.
And I think that certain things are triggered. For example, when you think of schizophrenia or bipolar or manic depressant, is certain things that trigger you, right?
Certainly.
Just like the foods that we're eating, it will trigger certain things because it's already in us per se, right? Cancer's already there.
Yes.
And if you eat certain things, it's going to trigger that.
Yeah.
So then that activates you to become this special being. When you look at X-Men and you look at, Avatar, they may not have come into their gifts until they were triggered by something, or something triggered that gift. Spider-Man or all they may have been born with this gift, but what triggered it to develop.
So I have my best friend, his sister has MS, but she's had a son. She went raw vegan diet for a while.
Talk about it.
And she got off the cane. She was walking with a cane, changed her life, and she was able to have a baby with MS, have a healthy kid. Now her kid has autism. Now she eats really clean, vegan food. She don't buy no processed stuff for him or her. And he's always he told her, I know she's gonna hear this, so pardon if I get this wrong, but he's told her, like, hey, I remember being born. I remember being in your belly. He'll wake up in the middle of the night and be talking, have like deep conversations. He's way too young to kind of have the conversations that he's having. And so, but it's the opposite of that. He was, he wasn't giving all the processed food, and she doesn't do the medical where she let people inject them up crazy. And it seems like that whatever that is has gotten better and better. It seems like he can astral project, or whatever comes with that, So I don't, I'm curious with the eating habits, and maybe he was born that way, and the eating habits kind of kept him on that track. It's hard for me to get my head wrapped around, because there's so many different avenues. Like you say, you can have a kid that's regular up until vaccines, and then that thing starts, or you can be born with it, and then certain access can dumb it down and kind of kill it based on you're supposed to move like this and act like this in society. So
I think there's different cases.
Yeah, for sure.
So he wasn't IVF.
Good question. I don't want to say yes or no, because I actually don't know.
But you do know there was no vaccinations involved.
I don't think he was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't IVF, because I'm pretty sure he has a father. And I think my
no, because you can do IVF with the father.
But shit, there you
I think
go.
it's like I've seen a girl do it on Facebook. You just get shots in your stomach.
Absolutely.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's, but I will ask the question.
Absolutely. And like
sure.
I said, I'm not a doctor. I just compared the stories that I heard, but there are so many other different factors. We haven't even spoke about the environmental factors, because just pollution alone and things that we ingest through the air, the water that we drink, there are so many different factors that we can't dictate how it shows up. I mean, even working on a food truck, I've learned so many different things. Like, I've had people that can't be exposed to onions at all. Onion powder.
Oh yeah.
Onion or
FODMAP, I've heard it called.
Yeah, and I forgot the lady's what she said her physical reaction would be if she ate onions. Can you imagine that type of life, or garlic or red pepper, or people that cannot drink water because it impacts them negatively?
That's weird.
I've seen that. It was a very rare case scenario, but
is that real?
It's interesting to see what'll happen if you remove certain things from your body.
Absolutely.
Because for 28 days, I did nothing but fruit juice. At the end of it, the smell of garlic and onions was absolutely disgusting to me.
Wow.
And it took me about 2 months. I forced myself to actually eat them again. It was just like, I didn't want it. The taste was nasty. The smell was disgusting. It just was like putrid to me. I didn't like it.
Well,
I don't know.
We could speak more to that. Really, we're fruitarians.
You think so?
Our design and my research is that's God's food. That's God original food. The way our teeth are designed, the way it's all put here for us. We don't have to do anything. We are supposed to not even drink water. We are supposed to
get your water from
everything from fruits. So when you speak about that, again, the chemical composition of anything else in your body, we don't know how it affects our body.
I agree.
And there's just so many things. Just sit and marinate on that and our lifestyle and what we have accepted as the norm is not the norm.
It's not the norm. I agree.
So with that being said, I don't have all the answers to autism, but I definitely saw links working in these homes, right? And again, I do think that the majority of people on the spectrum were sent here to teach us certain lessons, right? Because what if you go in these homes with certain judgments? They can feel that. I know because I've worked with a lot of families that couldn't receive the therapy they needed because, the child wouldn't work with the therapist. And it's something that they're feeling.
Energy.
From the therapist.
Yes. I have a very special family that I'm still in very close contact with. Yeah. And it's been almost 10 years. And
how does a child communicate?
This particular family, this particular child, very well. He's super intelligent, come from a super intelligent household. And one of the biggest things, and this is why I had to leave the field, because there's no such thing as being who you are teaching these beings, right?
Okay.
There's no organization that's going to pay you to do that. It's not designed for you to really help them, I would say, in a way that would be beneficial to them. And that's coming from a holistic approach. We are moving into, as we spoke earlier, you said, you're open to the world is changing. And I hope that we do, because I don't know, after this election, and I'm not into elections, I'm just saying in the sense of how people are just following the crowd blindlessly, blind, just blind, right? And so we have the government, right, that's in charge of all of these programs. And we believe that they're really going to come into the homes and be able to help. Because this is how they hide, right? You have all these programs, and I'm going to give you a certain amount of money to work with this community, but you have to have this note. You have to do it at this time. And having all of those requirements, how are you really going to help a family?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so all already put a veil or a distance. It's already separating you from really being able to help this family navigate whatever this is, right? Because it's still a spectrum. We didn't hear about this growing up, as you said. It was slow. And just a funny story, I went to a camp growing up that made sure that we interacted with so-called, back in my time, it was called retarded beings.
And
the greatest time of my life, learning from other kids like me that had cerebral palsy or Down syndrome, and we all just used to laugh and joke and have fun. So all of these experiences helped me get to where I am, right? So again, working with this company, going into these homes, recognizing the things that I'm recognizing, and just trying to find my place and how can I help these families. And it was discouraged.
By the families?
It was discouraged by the agency I was representing.
So what was one thing that you would recommend? Like, did you ever recommend, let's say, for instance, a plant-based
I'll give you an
diet?
example.
Okay.
I would recommend lavender oil.
Okay.
Because if you're familiar with certain autistic behaviors, it's these tantrums, these outbursts, these when they're triggered, it is hard to calm them down, right? So I introduced my family to lavender oil, lavender soap, lavender baths,
Beautiful.
Keeping them calm. And when I would write about this in my notes, I was discouraged. I was told that, although they can see this as my passion and I'm very good at what I do, that I may need to do it on another platform.
The holistic
Yes.
approach.
Right.
Were they tied to like the medical, medicating kids?
Right.
Yeah.
So again, one of my families, she was an educator too. And she homeschooled each of her kids. Her kids were super intelligent, even though this one kid was on the spectrum, and then her other kids were diagnosed with, behavioral problems. And as I delved into it more, my actual client knew he was more intelligent than his teachers. So
Verbal or nonverbal?
He was verbal, and he knew at 5 years old
He was smarter.
that he was smarter than his teachers.
He probably was.
Absolutely. And his teacher hated every minute of it.
See? You need to drop that damn ego.
Yeah.
I just looked up the frequency of lavender. I'm just curious because from what I understand, a lot of people who are magical beings can feel frequencies. There was a story that I was recently put on from the telepathy tapes where a child actually
I listen to these tapes.
You have to.
I saw it today on your page, but yes.
The child felt the mom okay, so the mom was gifted some stones that were prayed over. And when she came into the house, she didn't tell her son that she had the stones. But as soon as she came in the house, the son started yelling stones, right? Stones, 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 something of that sort.
Yeah.
Ran to the mom. She didn't tell him about the stones, but he knew about it. So he took the stones from her, put it in the room. And the family has now just purchased lots of stones because he says the stones help to clear out the negative energy because he's receiving energy all the time. Make love to the mic.
Yes.
He's receiving energy all the time, negative and positive. So when he has these higher frequency elements, it blocks out the frequencies that he doesn't need. So I'm just looking at the frequency of lavender, and it's at 118 MHz. That's megahertz, I think. 118.
Yeah,
I think rose is the highest.
I was about to say that's a lower
oil.
frequency, but lavender also can evoke your psychic, right?
I think I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So your spiritual communication. But when I'm doing this, I don't know all of this. I'm on my own journey.
Yeah.
You know,
You're just doing what feels right.
I'm just incorporating things that have helped me.
Okay.
Because as I said, it's a spectrum. So we are all on a spectrum per se.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I could just bring into these homes, especially from the experiences that I've had being a person of color.
Yeah.
And interacting with different beings on, you know, when you think about mental health and the history of it and how it's treated and lobotomies and stuff like that, there isn't a medical understanding. And this is what is the problem right now, because remember, the original doctors, their knowledge was taken from them and recreated man-made wise, right? So in our communities, we will go to, some people will call a witch doctor or, you know, because we weren't allowed in these spaces, right? These hospitals and stuff. So we had to look to nature. And when you look to nature, everything is there, right? So firm believer. And another thing I noticed in these homes is the way these beings ate.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Diet. You talking about diet?
Yes.
Yeah. So how are they eating upon you first
low
coming
vibrational.
into the house?
Let's talk. Okay, we could
That's
start.
a low vibrational plate right there.
Yes. So let's start with ABA.
Shout out to Coach Stormy.
ABA is a applied behavior technique,
Okay.
right? And I forget all the history. I researched it at one time. Maybe I should have been more prepared for this interview, but I wanted to flow
off the top. Yep.
Right. I
Yeah,
wanted to flow naturally. But in my research, they would say that this technique was developed by some doctor in some other country, and it looks similar to training a dog. Okay?
Yeah.
And I had a problem with that.
So the internet says it helps people. So applied behavior analysis for those listening.
Yes.
ABA therapy. It helps people learn new skills and change behaviors. It's often used to treat children with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and other developmental disorders.
Right. So what they would do and what you would do is if you wanted, say I'm teaching my, I guess for lack of a better word, student or client, but I hate those type of
Student sounds
Yeah.
better than client for sure.
I would teach the student how to tie their shoes, right? Because these are highly intelligent beings on one side, but certain everyday
Lacking the motor
Task,
skills
yeah.
to do it.
right, or just you may have to break certain skills down in little points. So we don't think about that as, I guess, the normal collective. It's just this. But if you, everything in teaching is broken down in smaller steps.
Yeah.
Like I was a horrible math student, but when I went to college to learn to teach, I became a brilliant math teacher because of the techniques that I was taught. So if you're teaching someone how to tie their shoes, you have to break it down into smaller tasks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And after you learn the first task, which may be how to lace up your shoes, right? Then you get your favorite snack, which may be something with red 40 in it.
And that's based on that way of testing kids, right?
Exactly.
Give them a treat when they do right.
Right. So
crazy.
now I have Skittles or I have goldfish.
Oh yeah, that's whack. That's
right.
whack. That's whack.
And I'm supposed to, every time you get a task, right, reward you with the snack. So you're more
Reward you with something that's harming you.
yes,
So we're
ma'am.
creating a cycle.
Yes, ma'am. And I refused to do it.
Okay.
Because I knew by that time, I knew the effects of stuff like that. So I refused. I would have certain things that I would reward them at an end of a session. Like we may be able to play your favorite video game or something like that. Because again, these beings as well are technologically advanced as well, right?
They all seem advanced to me in some form of way, fashion.
Yes.
Medical news today says red 40 and other dyes may worsen the symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Absolutely. And you will always most certainly see changes in these behaviors and the focus after you reward them with such things. And when I was in training, I refused to do it because I knew the other side of it, right? I was going through my health journey and just refused. So that was a problem because now I'm going to tell you as a family, when you have your child eating red hot Cheetos and they don't have balanced, wholesome foods.
Takis.
Yes, pizzas, McDonald's every day, because these are the things that these beings will crave if you don't have.
But are they really craving it, or are the parasites in them craving
Oh,
it?
say it! Because I was about to jump on that. Because remember, you're learning to eat what your family is eating. So even when we say, okay, they may have had this clean diet, but what is really a clean diet?
Yeah, word.
You know what I'm saying?
What is a clean diet? I would define a clean diet as a diet that supports you as a being and no other unbeneficial bacteria or parasites in your body.
See, with that gives people, in my opinion, that first statement gives people an out. Whatever works for your body, because people will say,
Thank you. I was about to say that, Al.
yeah, that gives you an out. Like when you say, I need to do what works for my body. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and some people believe that's pork and meat.
Yeah, some people will believe that what's good for their body is pork. They're like, yo, I need to eat more meat because this is
protein.
This is
that's the biggest lie.
You know what I mean?
But to also be honest too, those who leave behind the processed foods and still consume a diet that contains meat and whole fruits and vegetables still do way better.
I think that is.
I agree.
I attribute that to the human body being this amazing piece of work. You know what I'm saying? That no matter what, there's people out here that eat junk food every day, probably living to their 60s and 70s. You know what I'm saying? And they eat bullshit their whole life. So I think the body, you know what I'm saying, will push through a lot of the bull. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say I agree with the both of you.
Yeah.
And the reason why I agree with the both of you is because of my own personal journey, right? I used to eat everything. Yeah, of course, a chef, right?
Of course.
A Rudy to the tootie. Like my grandfather made the best barbecue pig feet. Wouldn't touch it this day, but back then I loved it. And dare, and I was exposed to all these different
venison
exotic.
Sausage is good.
Yeah, all these exotic foods. I don't eat
venison sausage.
Yes.
It's sausage
yes.
made from deer.
Yes.
In a can?
No.
Not Vienna sausage.
I'm about to say, what?
No, we don't touch that.
Different forever.
Yeah, we don't touch that stuff anymore.
Venison.
You saw my face? I'm like, you eat that?
You call deer meat venison.
Okay, I got you. I thought you said
My
Vienna.
dad used to get it from the shipyard. No, my grandpa used to get it from the shipyard. Some guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it's
so good.
It's less fat than pork.
Yeah.
And you still get that that umami flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't eat it today, but yeah.
Yeah. So what I've learned over time, I had to balance what works for me, right? So my body, when you listen to your body and you're going through spiritual stuff as well, it started to reject stuff. My body, I just...
What's the first thing it started to reject for you?
Oh my gosh, pork.
Okay.
Pork. I remember ignoring it. Because, I think we all used to be on the Atkins at some time. So I used to definitely have, like egg and bacon casseroles and,
Never, but I was a baconator everyday type of girl.
Ooh, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
A baconator every day, or a Bubba burger on the George Foreman grill with the bacon and the cheddar and the grilled mushrooms and grilled onions on a sesame seed bun with
Chefs
mayonnaise.
are foodies, right? You get excited just thinking about it, right? But... when your body starts to reject this stuff, and that's what happened to me the first time. I used to love this dish called griot. You guys, griot is a Haitian dish that I love. Sabase.
Shout out to Haitians.
Yes. All right. So griot is a fried pork, and then you could put it's seasoned very well, tender. Oh my gosh, melt in your mouth. And I hadn't had it in a long time. My Brooklyn nights, I moved down here and I was always looking for my people. So I end up hooking up with the Haitian crew down here, and I would go to their parties just to eat, and they knew it and they embraced it, right? So get all my not only did I eat my griot there, I had to have my plate to go with my pickles. Pickles is like a spicy condiment that they make out of like cabbage. It's like a vinegar paste. Oh, and my black rice.
Yeah.
So I get home, I'm like, oh, just happy with my second or third plate of griot. And I just start throwing up like the Exorcist. Ignored it.
But know in your mind, you know.
So I was like, you know what? I don't think that the pork agree with me. Now I had already stopped eating pork in my house, stopped eating bacon, but this griot took me back. I had to have this griot. And even still, I just was like, all right. So then I went to Barbados. Second time when it was firmly confirmed that I never touched any type of pork again on vacation. And eating all these different foods, and I'm with a group of people, and we stop on the side of the road, and they have this thing. If y'all know anything, the Caribbean culture loves some pigtail. Oh, some pigtail. It go good in your callaloo. It go good in your cook up rice.
I'm cool.
So
The tail of a pig.
yes.
Yeah.
So they were roasting it on the side. We had just left from Rihanna's house, right? Because Rihanna, you know, we in Barbados. And they're roasting this pigtail, and they barbecued it. And it's smelling so good. And I'm like, no, everybody's eating it. Oh, just take a little taste. So I took a little taste.
Yeah.
Man, some hours later, I could barely move.
Yeah,
My whole body shut down.
Damn.
And that was the last time I ever touched pork again. And that would happen to me several times as far as me clearing things out my body. And even now with avocado not being put in a box, we're not strictly plant-based, even though I had to bring that to the community for people that's transitioning, people that want to experience something other than soy, right?
Yeah, word.
Yeah.
You know how we do the plant-based. They haven't had that out here.
You're right.
It's only a few. It's only a few.
Yeah,
out
it's
here.
only a few
It's growing.
Yeah, it's growing, but I think that people have to take it seriously.
For sure.
You're recreating these traditional dishes that you know, right? Because what I've learned being on a journey is you don't even need oil. You don't need to put meat in your veggies. You don't
cooking
have to eat right.
Salt everything. You don't have to salt
Right.
everything.
Oh,
yeah.
see, I can't agree with that. See, I'm a salt
Salt
bae.
everything.
I love salt, but we're not talking about Morton salt that's going to kill you.
No.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Beneficial
Utah real
salt, and
real
then
sea
trying
salt,
to
mineral salt.
even explain that to your elders. Salt is salt.
Yeah,
They're just repeating what they're doing. Salt is salt.
You've got mineral deficient salt, and you've got salt
exactly,
with minerals in it.
and we don't need
Yeah.
anything else that's going to take minerals from our body.
And that's something that also I just read that red dye 40 does. A depletion
Yes.
of minerals that play a role in growth and development, including zinc and iron.
That's crazy.
Like people don't know, if you eat spinach, it's taking iron and minerals from you because it's
I've
an
heard-
incomplete
the oxalates I've heard about.
structure.
But I've also seen people heal on spinach. There's a Dr. Goldner
Okay.
who she was healed from her what do you call that disease? It's an autoimmune disease, lupus. By having a diet 100% of raw cruciferous vegetables, including kale and spinach and things of that sort. But she does say if you notice you're having an issue with spinach, just don't eat it.
Okay, so I agree and I don't agree. I think that again, it depends on your makeup because
True, I agree.
we, even if we look alike, we're not. We not made up of the same things, right? So you want to try as best as you can to eat things in its original form.
I agree.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So yeah, I'm more on the kale than spinach because I need these minerals. Just like, people don't know, but our community, we're like weed heads, right?
For sure.
And I'm not excluding myself. But do you know how much minerals is being taken from your body when you smoke?
Now that I did not know.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. So I keep learning more and more and more. And shout out to the curse of the acolyte goddess.
Oh yeah.
Yes. For her deep knowledge.
Yeah.
Of finding out certain things and how you can't fully heal. Especially with even parts of that is low vibrational now. I remember moving here about 17, 18 years ago, and it was very hard to find anything with seeds in it. And now, it's no such thing.
It's hard pressed to find seeds.
Yes.
And I know,
sure.
when I did find something that had seeds in it, I converted it over to an oil. But if I smoked it, I do remember it giving me a headache. I do remember that aspect of it.
If you find some homegrown out here, you'll find some seeds.
Where's the old men with the homegrown?
Yeah.
Hit us up. We looking for y'all.
I'm actually looking at switching into more edibles versus smoking going forward. Because when I smoke, I'm doing a whole lot of...
And I was about to say what it does with your lungs.
I can only imagine
and
the tar.
Me, over 20-something years indulging, I recognize even my voice change.
Yeah.
And how my throat feel, and I could take it deeper on a spiritual level, just finding out how it affects your throat chakra. Oh my gosh. How has it been affecting our throat chakra and how we communicate? Oh my gosh, it's so deep.
You have some high functioning weed heads. I'm not one of them.
I'm high functioning.
I am one.
Oh, you are. See, I'm not. See, if I'm smoking weed every single day, my attitude changes. I'm not as friendly. I'm not myself. I'm lazy. Right?
Yeah.
But I know some people who smoke weed every single day. Yeah, and they're cool.
I get up and do whatever.
I do well if I smoke every now and then. You know what I mean?
I will say I go through my phases though. Sometimes I will. I know I have to stop. Like today I haven't smoked all day and I'm probably not going to smoke for the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? And so I go days without smoking, but for me it's self-checking. I always self-check myself because for me, I don't like to be hooked to anything. I don't want to be addicted to anything.
Yeah.
So I always have to put self-checks in my life to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I can take a break from it. No matter if it's
and I think that's the
food,
beautiful
everything.
journey of 40.
Yeah.
Of your 40s. That's where I am. I started, once I turned 40, I started taking breaks. I just came off of a 2-year break.
Oh, yeah. Your first high. Crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
And still trying to regulate it because you realize at that point it's definitely an addiction. And for me, it is more of, I like what you said about being self-aware, becoming self-aware. However, recognizing... Because, I mean, at one point I was an alcoholic as well. And it's so normalized in itself. Up north, you're not really meeting up for happy hours. You don't really have alcohol sitting in your home. And nope. That's a southern thing.
Oh.
I moved out here. I got so fat, chilling with my neighbors, drinking wine, and eating fried foods.
Yeah, New York, you're moving around a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not really a culture up there. We didn't even have... I didn't even know what Chick-fil-A was until I moved here. And people were shocked.
That's crazy. I mean, I get it though.
Yeah. Southern food, because of the melting pot up north, I'm not really a soul food fan, but I make it very well. My grandparents are from the South. I'm more into multicultural foods. So... self-awareness for what's going on. I used to be an alcoholic, drank a bottle of vodka. Then I thought wine was better. Then I got these headaches, severe headaches, and so I don't drink wine anymore. And it just take you on this journey. And then I started realizing how alcohol, when I turned 40, because when the ancestors in the spiritual world is ready for you to become who they want you to be, and that's even in that, because I'm sure everybody in this room been getting their ass beat, especially this time of year.
But there are some people who don't get their ass beat for real, and I'm trying to figure out.
Are they the chosen ones though?
I personally
everybody have
stay
gifts, but
away
are
from
they
that.
chosen?
I just don't like the chosen one.
Other though you're the chosen one.
I mean, maybe you're right.
I know. I hate
about that though.
I hate. But what other way can you say it? Because we think it's a golden child, like it's this greatest thing to be chosen, but it's the hardest thing to be chosen.
Here's what I think it is. I think that, for instance, me and probably you, and maybe yourself as well, if you've experienced it, before you came here, you made this decision that I need to learn these particular lessons during this journey. And I hear that a lot during the NDE experiences that I watch. They say that you are here, you chose certain things that you could learn.
It's hard to accept.
And I think maybe there's just certain lessons. Like for me, a big lesson for me is food. Really big lesson. You've even seen my struggle with it for the 2 years that you've known me. It's a big struggle. Yeah. That's why I'm not even in the food industry like that, because there's a struggle. You know what I mean?
I'm going through it right now. I mean, when I wasn't in the industry and I was on this journey with my partner, he was 400 pounds. He lost 200 pounds. I was 256 pounds. I lost 100 pounds.
The transformation they made together, crazy amazing.
However, I've gained a lot of it back working in the industry. Because although I know about foods, I still know that I'm the best chef out here. Well, one of the best chefs, because I'm sitting next to another one. One of the best chefs out here. So basically can make anything taste good. So when I'm creating these dishes, it's very hard. It takes a new level of discipline to not taste what I'm preparing. And I go back and forth with that.
I mean, because I'm making you a fried oyster mushroom sandwich on a croissant.
Oh, I want that right now.
You know what I mean?
Are you making that right now? Because I've been seeing your pictures.
I'm liquid. Right. I'm liquids only right now.
Right.
But no, it's difficult.
Yes.
1,000% difficult.
Everyday struggle.
How do you balance
every day.
that?
I'm still looking for that balance because there's different stages of it. When I first started out, it was a journey, because when I first started out, I used to have turkey burgers and everything on a truck, and
sweet potato egg rolls.
So I would start out eating this stuff every day, but then fast the rest of the day. So I picked up these super bad habits, right?
Well, how did that work for you? Eating a junk food meal, quote unquote, and then fasting for the rest of the day. Did that give you balance?
Initially it did, because I was already participating in intermittent fasting.
Okay.
Right? And loved what it did for my body, and loved how, because, I suffer from some other ailments as well. But I noticed changing, doing the intermittent fasting worked for me, because the scale wouldn't move at first. And then when I did that, it moved. Dr. Sebi, my initiation into eating a certain way was through Dr. Sebi. I think that it does stuff for you that we can't even. He was a genius in the way he put together this list of what we should be eating. And I'm not going to say it's the end all be all, but it opened me up spiritually to things I could have never imagined.
So
and that's directly connected to the foods that I eat.
So with the foods, I want to back up a little bit. So you said in the beginning of the truck, right? You talking about the avocado?
Yes, avocado. Yes.
So take me to the beginning of that. How did that start?
Okay, so it started because I worked for this company with the children with autism, and they just kept discounting my gifts and the way I worked with these beings, right? And I started noticing, and I started changing them from the inside through their diet, right? Teaching the parents what to prepare for them, how to eat, while I'm on my own journey, right? Yeah. And they started seeing differences in their home and in behaviors and stuff like that. Like the one kid that I keep speaking to, his mom, I'm so proud of her right now. She has her very own garden, and these are kids that with the frappuccinos and red hot Cheetos every day, and now they eat from their garden. So it started there, and seeing the differences in behaviors and how it made a difference in the home.
So stay right there. So what give me examples of how this kid changed with diet that you personally noticed?
Well, I always do this to my kids, right? I start feeding them the facts. What sugar does to you if you don't drink water, how you will die because you have to drink water. And
so information first.
Yes. Trials and tribulations, giving them a little bit at a time. Maybe let's mix the frappuccino, half water and half frappuccino, because you can't just snatch kids off of these things you've created for them. Yeah, well, and a lot of these diets are created out of convenience. It's easier to go pick up a pizza. It's easier and cheaper. Remember, those are substances, for sure. Chemical substances. They could never be real food. So educating them first. educating the family because a lot of people don't know. Hell, I didn't know.
This is true. This is
We
very true.
loved food growing up. We didn't know if we really knew how food, even like what Elle said with the parasites and how they have the ability to change your mind.
Food is big. I had a friend, he used to work at he wasn't a friend. I knew a female and her cousin worked at the morgue. And one of the things he said to me that stuck with me, he was like, yo, black people, he said, I see so many black people coming there dying from heart attacks. It's all connected to diet.
Absolutely.
That's the number one killer.
And all of this is done purposefully because, as we said, a choice. We have a choice. We think that the soul food they told us, the soul food, is actually soul food.
Yes, we do.
And that's the number one problem.
Slave food.
Exactly.
It's just what we ate as a convenience, what we had available back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Different ball game now. I tell everybody, man, no matter what you eat, stop eating it for a month and then go back to it and see how your body feels. We'll give it 2 months.
That is difficult.
I have my people come to the truck, collard green egg rolls. I put apples on it, and I just stumbled upon this.
You put apples on your collard green egg rolls?
That is my fat back substitute. If you think about the texture of apples, and then they're not totally sweet when you cook them. They give you like this tart sweetness
acidity.
And it goes perfect with collards, right? So this is my experiment, how I came up with the collard green egg rolls. But anyway, before that, I've been making it with apples because I learned that from my grandfather. My grandfather did put the fat back, but he also put apples in it.
Shout out to Papa.
Yes, Pops, I love you for giving me this gift. Rest and heavily, keep working with me. I'm working through it. But, when I started doing that, people actually come to the truck and say, there's no meat in it, I don't want it.
That's crazy.
This is how they know there's no meat in there.
Because there's a listing of what's in my stuff.
Oh, I see.
So the questions A through Z, but
they get upset though.
Yes, you can't do that. You don't do it to McDonald's.
Yeah, word.
And we know that they're bleaching. No. There's not that much what is it?
Food at McDonald's.
Those are people's parasites being upset though.
What is those? Big Macs? There's not
McRib
on every corner.
Yeah.
We have enough meat
Oh, yeah.
for that on every corner, and some people just don't care that they're eating horses.
I think about that with chicken. I'm like,
or cats. They just don't care that they're eating that.
Yeah.
They don't question them.
Yeah,
and it's
weird.
legal.
So what are the biggest questions that you get when people come to your establishment?
I mean, I have the conscious community asking what I fry the stuff in, and it's just like, if you're that aware of what, because consciousness is just an awareness, if you're that aware, then you know that you can't eat from anybody in the street. Because, and I say that for real, because
unless you have a private chef.
Grapeseed oil?
Well, we talked about this in the last
flour?
podcast. Grapeseed oil actually is not healthy. We did a little deep dive into it. It's
seed oils in general.
It's seed oils in
general.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a quick story for my 400-pound boyfriend. His doctors totally alkaline, don't even use oil, and never even exposed him to a different lifestyle. And he was 400 pounds.
That's why I don't like doctors.
So what are we doing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I need everybody to wake up. I need you to go within and become self-aware.
Please don't go to Avocargo's truck asking for things to be cooked in pure olive oil. Here's the thing, though, people really do need to understand as a consumer. If you want those type of things, you're going to have to pay more.
Period.
Because those ingredients are more expensive. You can get a bottle of vegetable oil, which is made from soy, which is mostly genetically modified, for maybe $2.99 versus olive oil in that same size is going to run you about $20.99. So unless you're willing to pay more.
Yeah. And they're not. We're in an area that they want everything discounted. They want everything free. Like what I've learned in the 5 years, avocado is severely undervalued in this area, and it hurts my heart because I thought that the message was for me to bring it to the community. And now I see why you have to go corporate. Now I see why people have to so-called sell out. And I'm not going to sell out spiritually, but hey, I can't be Walmart. I have to join them.
How long have you been running the avocado?
Avocado started out because I didn't think I would do a food truck. Started out as meal plans.
Okay.
And it was definitely for people. My first customers or members, I would say, were diabetic or had heart issues or just thought they wanted to lose weight. So I did a whole alkaline meal plan for $12. $12 a meal, right?
Sheesh.
Wasn't making any money.
Been there, done that.
Was testing the market to see, and that's when I decided, because as vegans, which the vegan community out here is super crazy. I say that again, super crazy. So I have been bashed for doing both because people want me in a box, right? And I refuse to be in a box, because what about the people that need to transition like myself? And I started out at these places that were healthy but left the flavor at the door. So I had to come out. We need the LBs out here, and I didn't know. We didn't know when we were over at Jaconi Cafe.
It's
collectively,
a lot of work. The food industry is a lot of work. That's why I don't even.
Absolutely. Avocado is expanding in a different direction because I wanted to be as independent as I could, because the integrity and the quality of my product is super important. So you will always see me up there. Of course, I'm in these meetings with different investors because I haven't been able to get to my multi-millions because I don't want anyone else to take over why I started this. It's been very hard for me to let go of that piece and allowing anyone else to have creative control, because I still want to be over the integrity of my product. So those are the battles that I'm going through right now, because you want your company to be a multi-million dollar company, or do you want to stay where you are?
Yeah, that part.
I'm at the crossroads right now, and it may look like selling out, but my community don't support me. My community that look like me, they don't support me the way they need to, and it's disheartening. But I'm also thankful because it's allowed me on my spiritual journey to realize, they have this saying, all skin folk aren't kinfolk. Yeah. And we come from a conscious community to look out for our people first. And what I realized is I need to look out for like-minded people first. Like, who's my tribe? And you can feel it. Because you could come to my truck and you can speak all of that, but how are you living? That's the most important piece for me. You have a lot of people in this community, I don't want to eat that. Well, you might as well, because you still have these parasites. You're still ugly when you come to the truck. I can see you. I see your spirit.
So
clean it up. Clean up that soul.
For the second conversation, do you think that our people just can't, when you look at you and the information that you're offering them, they just see a different person. So they look at you and say, hey, you, for lack of better terms, hey, you on some white shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You think that's the disconnect?
Yes, absolutely. Started with my own family. My mother, well, I don't even want to put all her business out there, but the health ailments I've seen in my family and trying to help them first before I even embarked on this journey. And the constant conversations of, you ain't no doctor. You think you better than. It has broken me down so much.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It can hurt if you allow it, and I've been there before too. And
that is this year, my journey. It started a little bit into this season. Spiritual nights we're fighting with, but working on my emotional intelligence. And the reason why I say that and I want to highlight that is because, again, if you become self-aware and you go within, your body is going to talk to you. Those parasites, you're going to see after a certain time that they want you to eat. You're going to see that how it works along with the TV and why Kendrick said, turn the TV off, because every commercial is about something that we should not be consuming. It's not even, you wouldn't even feed your dog this stuff. Imagine the stuff that your animals are coming up with now. They're getting cancer.
You're feeding your dogs the stuff and they're, like you said, and they're getting cancer.
How is that?
I've met people who have started feeding their dogs real food, whether it's raw meat or they cook it, and they say they had a disease, now they don't have it. It's changing. It's taking an elderly dog who's really like looking and feeling elderly to giving them that vibrance back into them, that vitality.
My dog lived till she was 14 years old. And she was only supposed to live until she was 11. Wow. And I remember when she got sick, I took her to a vet. So I did natural remedies on her. I'm not gonna even say. And when I told them that I used tea tree oil on her, and I was, they charged me
for what?
And said that that they could report me to like I guess like a PETA program for using an essential oil on my dog.
Really?
They said she had cancer, she had this, she had that, and I'm just like, listen. And by that time, she was already like 12. She lived 2 more years after that, because you just gonna eat what I eat, dog. I mean, and at the end of the day, we have been sold this idea.
Wow.
And again, become self-aware. I challenge everybody in this year of the 9 to become self-aware. And what does that look like? Just sit with yourself and ask yourself these questions.
The year of self.
Yes.
Get to know yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's with anything. Like, we're saying with autism, take control of your household. Don't depend on these organizations to really, help you get to that space. What does that space look like for you? It doesn't look the same for everyone.
What would you give somebody, what would you tell somebody the biggest misconception of autism in your experience? For your average person that looks at somebody with autism and has that first thought of, oh, they're slow, they're off, they're unintelligent, what would you tell them?
Again, I think that it starts with self and looking at yourself. What would make you judge someone like this, right? Like that or like this, or by color, or by who's the judge here? I mean, who's setting the bar of what's not slow or what's normal? I heard someone the other day, like, when I work with people, I ask them like 3 things. Like what do you want to do away with? Like the 3 things, and 3 things that 3 goals for yourself. And a lot of people cannot answer those questions, or they think that it's related to money or whatever. And it's like, these are all the things you've been told. You've been told what autism look like. You've been told what it should look like, how you should handle it. And it's not what you think. And I think that's in everything. Nothing is what it seems.
So if I was to ask you, then what is it? So if I was a person that says, hey, I looked at these people with autism kind of way, like, I don't think they're, what would you tell a person like,
I would say for me, they're special beings. That we need to handle delicately, because they're going to show you about yourself. You think that you're righteous and you're the end all be all, and they could come right up to you and smack the hell out of you. And you'd be like, damn, what you smack me for?
You know why.
Right. And they might just tell you, you know.
Have you ever had any experience like that with autistic kids? Like any special, any like mind reading things where they've told you or brung you something, you was kind of like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
like,
notice any telepathic abilities or anything?
Always. That's how I know I have a gift to work with certain communities. And this experience told me that because I was able to work with them without saying much words. I can feel when a tantrum is about to come up. Although one time, it didn't work out like that. And one of my clients smacked the hell out of me. And that's why I can tell you of my experience. And I think I was just doing my job. That day I came and the way the household was set up, and I was tired of doing this routine, because what I found in the households of people that look like me, I could be more free in my techniques. Households that didn't look like me, they were watching me like a hawk. So I had to go by the curriculum or, whatever, ISP or whatever. And that's what they want. That's what the system wants. The system think everything is by routine. Everything is, like our school system. You must be doing this at 8:15, do that. And it don't work like that. And my client was frustrated with me. And it was like, no, you're going to do the laundry. He was an adult too. I want to say he was like 19 or something, 20. Big, stocky dude. And we went to the laundry room. We did this all the time. But this particular day, his mom was watching us like a hawk, which now in hindsight, I feel like she knew he was already triggered, but hadn't communicated that with me. So we're in the laundry room, and I'm asking him to do whatever because he knows how to do this. We do this all the time. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll show you again. And I think he was irritated because I knew he can do it. He knew he could do it. And I just wanted to get through this task so we could move on. And he probably felt that. So I took the stuff. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it for you. I took the stuff from the wash and put it in a dryer. As I came up, he smacked the hell out of me.
Do you think that he smacked you because he was frustrated at the fact that you took over?
Yes.
His responsibility?
Yes, and I wasn't patient to allow him to do it in his own time.
And that's the only way that he knew how to communicate that with you at that time.
And that's the way he was used to communicating, because his brother had autism and parents were older, and the whole family was very, very, very different. Not an environment that I was used to. And that was also a family that all of the kids came through IVF.
Now, was he verbal at all?
He was. And I think with the verbalization, I think they choose and not choose what to say or do sometimes.
I heard that it can be a lot of energy required to verbalize things.
Oh, I would agree. Just think about if you have any psychic interactions, how much energy it takes, or when you're giving messages to people and you can feel that they're not receptive to it, but this is what you're told to do, so you do it. That alone.
I'm so intrigued for you to listen to the telepathy tapes and get your take on it from working with autistic kids, because that podcast threw my brain for a loop. And I'm a skeptic. I consider myself a skeptic again. Like, it's hard for me to believe things that I can't touch or see or experience myself. And so, but listening to this podcast and hearing that they had skeptics in the room with them, you know what I mean? And some of the things that were going on, they couldn't even explain it. And so it got me really intrigued. And I think I'm hoping that if you listen to this podcast, it'll put some things in hindsight. Well, it'll make you remember things or situations to be like, okay, maybe this is tangible with these kind of kids. Because it is super intriguing with me the way that some of these kids' mind work. And to me, I look at it like, and I don't know, of course, but I look at it like frequencies. I think that, you know how like radio waves, you can hop on a radio or walkie-talkie and communicate with somebody across the room. We can't see those radio waves, we can't hear them when they moving, but we know that if you got a receiver on the other end, that you can receive these radio waves. If you got a different receiver that can tap into the channel, you can receive that. And so my mind is like autistic kids are the same exact way. They just have the ability to tap in, or
they're more in tune.
Be aware of certain frequencies more, and maybe like really and immerse themselves in these frequencies. To me, that's what autistic kids are.
I love that you brought that back up, because everything around us is frequency and vibrations, right? And when you go within and you become self-aware, you become more in tune. And it's very important that we do that, because like the music that our modern day music, certain frequencies are used, right, to get us on a certain channel. Certain things that you watch, certain foods, different frequency on different foods, the technology that we use. I've gotten into these EMF,
the radiation blockers.
And I've realized putting them around my home, I can hear more.
You notice a difference?
Yes, I can hear more. I can hear more clearly.
So even that. So with you having these certain frequencies emitter in your home, that it heightens your frequency or your ability to tap into these frequencies. So they had one thing. Remember when the girl had the filling on the podcast?
Yeah.
She said this is old back in the day.
Lucille Ball.
Yeah, so she had fillings in her, and she would she rode through a certain place, and I might be getting a little mixed up, but she was picking up radio stations via her mouth. Like, you know what I'm saying? The radio waves were tapping into that piece of metal or whatever, and she was able to hear voices through her mouth, but it was being transmitted. So
I think you're more sensitive when you've been involved in certain near-death experiences. That's a story for another day. I died in 2004.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to have you back to talk about
that. So I
that.
have a metal rod from my knee to my ankle.
Wow.
Changed my life too. I think of my life as different segments. But also our hair, as they say, antennas pick up certain frequencies. And if it's locked, I recently learned this, if it's locked or braided up a certain way, certain frequencies can't penetrate through it.
It makes sense.
So think about this and why our hair was such an important thing to change at a certain, because these people have studied us and took all the knowledge of us away from us so they can study us and continue to do experiment on us in certain projects and stuff, and you know, that's why it's very important what you put into your vessel, even more so now than any other time, because when our elders or ancestors ate meat, guess what? It was the meat that they grew or the farm that it came from. Remember, they took this away from all of us. It's not just people of color, all of us.
Everybody, yeah.
So why did they do that? It's a certain amount of control.
Yeah.
But back to our autistic beings, I think it's layers and layers of things that we don't know, but they're definitely here to teach us. And one of the biggest things is judgment, because they can feel that a mile away. People don't believe in energy, but it's very real. It's in everything. Everything has energy. Everything holds a frequency or a vibration. And just because you can't see it, you can feel it. And we're becoming more aware of that. So I advise everyone to be aware of how you treat people. Be aware of your thoughts. Are they neutral thoughts, or have they been shaped in some type of way? And start getting rid of that. Start pulling those layers back of what we were taught, you know, and be reborn.
So what's some advice that you would leave with parents of autistic children who are willing to open up and really hear you out, what can benefit their household and benefit their relationship with their child, and also help them communicate with their child better?
I say, one, get to know your child. One of the things that I was adamant with the families that I worked with is don't pay attention to the titles. Matter of fact, you may notice things that are different about your child. Don't run into the doctor and tell them, oh, X, Y, and Z, because that's the easiest way to get a diagnosis for your child. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some families that do it for a check, and I had to learn that as well. But if you really care, you want to be a benefit to your child, get to know them first. Don't pay attention to these milestones and what they tell you these milestones are. My nephew didn't really start speaking until he was like almost 5 years old. And it wasn't that he was slow or he was less intelligent than the next. He, I would say from the vaccinations and stuff that it overloaded him. Mm-hmm. So be mindful of the overload, what you're feeding. The medication is easy. Oh, they have a cold. Let's get some Robitussin. And then we're finding out about all of these things. Robitussin, Red 40. So what are any things that you're feeding your children? When I started to learn this stuff, I went through my cabinets. People couldn't believe it. I was giving away stuff left and right. So study your child. Your environment impacts behaviors as well. Look at yourself first. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things that parents close their, I don't know why my child is like that. And all the time it's a behavior they learned from you. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with autism.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
So learn that. Learn natural swaps. Yeah, seed oils may not be good, but it's better than the soybean. Start there. I tell people start there. Mm-hmm. And you can reheat your food with water. I don't know what the kinfolk get reheat in their food and oil. You don't have to do that.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You know this, right? Someone came over to my house because
I'm an oil. I've been an oil freak.
Microwave. I don't have a microwave.
But water does work. It's going to rehydrate the food.
Yes.
And you can saute in water.
There are things that we do as chefs, but you want to, they're not always the best. And that's where I battle because I know things from what I'm learning. And then there's things that I traditionally find acceptable. Like I had to accept my battle with meat. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of sisters that said, well, maybe you're just not meant to be totally vegan. I used to ask you a lot of questions, Elle, a long time ago. I learned a lot.
My mindset was different back then, too. I've learned a lot since then. Yeah. I don't even know. What did I tell you? Don't eat it? I probably said don't eat it.
No. It was just different things like replacements for stuff that I was learning. Or you ate a lot of soy, and soy ended up having a reverse effect on me.
So it doesn't work well with you?
Severely sick. I can't have anything severe. I went to a local place and I was so excited when I started on my journey. Got this whole vegan breakfast. Didn't know anything about it being filled with soy or tofu or whatever. Almost fell out the car with stomach pains.
Oh no.
And then you learn more about soy and the process of soy and certain things. Like the area we live in is not a soy producing area. That's more to Asian countries, and they take a certain amount of time to ferment it, because if it's not fermented for about 2 years, it will hurt you. But the average person don't know this. So I say stay away from that and eat God's food. That's what it was here for. Now, come on. Of course, you'll find me out here eating at a restaurant, but I pick apart the menu. Mm-hmm. because there's a socialite in me as well. I like to go out. I like to do these things. And these menus are not sufficient for beings like us at all.
Yeah, and there's multiple pillars to health too outside of your diet.
Yes, but let's start at the very basic.
So get to know your child.
Get to know your child.
Get to know yourself.
Get to know yourself. Start cooking at home.
Cook at home.
Cook at home. Let's start there.
At least
one meal. On whole foods, you would say?
Yes, with your child. Because getting these children involved.
Yeah.
Most of my children from these communities, they love to cook. They love food.
Yeah.
And if you get them involved in that, they're gonna eat it. Mm-hmm. If you get a plant and you grow it and you say, "Oh, this is gonna be our tomato plant," they will pluck that tomato right off and start eating it like candy.
Come on. Okay.
So let's start there. And this is for any family because not only do we have the autism part, our children.
Yeah, non-autistic behavioral issues.
Yes, our
swings,
children these days.
Anger.
Yes.
Depression, anxiety.
And all of this come from us not learning our lessons, and we're back on a cycle with the next generation.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? That's what I really came out here for. I came out here to help my people navigate the world we live in now. I'm not talking about the world our grandparents lived in and the world our parents lived in. I'm talking about the world we live in now. And one by one, we can change it.
Absolutely.
And we can change it through food. Let's start there.
And Avocargo's changing it. So where can we see Avocargo in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a loaded question because I've been learning to keep certain things to myself. Had you asked me this a couple of weeks ago, I would have excitedly shared my journey. But let's just say my goal is to cultivate community, not the way that we see it, but going back to the original way of cultivating community. So that's my goal. I'm working on it now. And what I've learned is there's a lot of gatekeeping with that. Avocargo has been in business for 5 years, funding herself.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's big. That's big, especially for a food spot.
Absolutely.
Yes. So looking for investors now, investing partnerships and stuff like that. Like I'm changing my strategy, and I have people that's in the corporate industry that's guiding me, that came to me at the right time when I was hitting a ceiling of who I wanted Avocargo to be, because it changes. I told you I started out for the community, and the community wasn't having it. So I had to go through those trials and tribulations and learn what I needed to learn. And I'm ready for the next level.
You've evolved into the space you need to be in.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Still evolving too. Still learning. Still going through the difficult journey. But I know that is always going to be a journey, because accepting that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're never at the finish line.
Nope, it ain't over till it's over.
You always raise the bar on yourself if you're self-aware.
Should. I'm about to say self-awareness, yep.
If you're self-aware, you always raise the bar on yourself. And that's what I constantly do. And it shows up. Whatever's going on with you personally is going to show up in your business. And to be honest, that's the problem with our community business. We're not constantly being self-aware. Pay attention to the room.
Yeah. That's a understatement. Pay attention to the room. Read the room.
Read the room.
Read the room. Yeah.
Read the room.
Will everyone make sure they check out Avocargo?
Yeah, I say, where can they find you?
Yeah, where can they find you?
How they support you? All that good stuff.
So right now we are expanding our brand. With that being said, follow us on our social media. I'm always sharing some helpful insights or, where we're going to be. Our website is www.avocargo. That's AVOCARGOVA.com, because this is where it all started. And watch our journey. Become a part of that journey. Come taste some delicious food that will tantalize your taste buds, but also feed your soul.
Okay.
So when you come to the truck, I'm always going to give you what your soul need.
And you're located where?
We're out of Norfolk, but we travel through the 7 cities. Some of the places you will regularly find us will be in Hampton at Ousel Finch. But we do things locally with like the Virginia Arts. One of our biggest community festivals that we love in Norfolk. We are always in collaboration with Teens with a Purpose. And they have Fuse Fest every year right here at Purpose Garden in Norfolk.
Dope.
And we just love the community, and we like to bring the knowledge to the community. We're just expanding our brand to other communities.
That's dope.
Yeah, so more people can experience you.
Yes.
Love it.
I want to say thank you guys for having me. I feel like I could have sat on this couch all night and speak to my original vegan friend.
Hey, y'all.
Between her and HOC, that was my first, well, maybe not my first real journey, I would say. I had a challenge before that 30-day, people are always doing a 30-day vegan challenge.
Yeah.
But then I had these sisters that were sent to me to really, I thought I was coming to help you guys, right? And you guys helped me, and we created these phenomenal dishes that you can still
yes, we did.
Experience today
At Jaconi Cafe.
at
the
Jaconi
HOC,
Cafe. Yes,
35th Street in Norfolk Park, please.
exactly. So shout out to our big sister Drea that brought the
For real,
community together.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, we haven't been there in a while. We have to go visit our sister.
We
but
haven't, and we do.
Yeah, still
Maybe need to do a podcast there or something like that.
right, because it's been over 10 years?
It's been a long time.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
So I'm proud of where we all are.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's get together so we could cultivate this community once again.
Yes.
But it's different than when we first started out, right?
Oh, very different.
It was all black power and
Super black.
Listen, that's when I found out I was a black woman, and that was a process. There was lots of anger, lots of frustration, lots of reverse hatred. There was a lot.
I think
That journey was wild.
I don't even like to call anything a conscious community. I like to say become aware of yourself first.
Yeah.
Because
Self-awareness.
I participated in communities like that in New York. So I saw a lot of things firsthand with some of the celebrity so-called healers. But we'll talk about that on camera.
Well, we are very appreciative that you came through today to chat with us.
For sure.
And I'm glad that the people and myself got a chance to get to know you more.
Yes.
Because I learned a lot of things about you today that I didn't know. So it's nice. Yeah. So it was really pleasant to get to, learn about your journey and what influenced you. And I think even telepathically, when the autism people meet on the Hill, I think they're probably thinking, we're happy that Shauntel shared some of her experiences.
Yes. I'm so intrigued for you to listen to that podcast, just because you work with kids like that. So I'm curious on your perspective of what they present.
I can't wait. This is probably what I'll be doing for the rest of the night, because I'm drawn to those things too, and finding a link to food and who we are as people. And when I say that, I'm talking about collectively. No color lines, no gender lines. This is, when I say no titles, I mean no titles.
Oh, yeah. No, for real. I mean, because your conscience doesn't have a title.
Exactly. It's just becoming aware of the world around you, and that is the journey I want to continue on. I mean, I've had to work through my own judgments or my own it's just been a journey, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, self-awareness. I guess before I say my little spiel, then you can close it out, Elle. But today, I pleasure to meet you as well.
It's too humble.
One of the things that did stand out is like the self-awareness. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people hearing this could be helped by self-awareness in some form or fashion. It helped me change a lot of my life. You know what I mean? I look back on all the moments. I had a near-death experience too, but I look back on all those moments and the reason I got through them was self-awareness. You know what I mean? Me being tapped into who I was, where I was, you know what I mean, what was in front of me. And that was the thing that got me through all the bullshit that I had on my plate at the time. So.
And I bet being humble too, because the ego plays a big part in a lot of our lessons.
1,000%. And as the resident man in the room, it is a plague with our people. Ego is strong within men, especially black men. We can learn so much by letting that ego go, or just knowing when to allow your ego to show up. You know what I mean? And
as that could be another topic, right? Because you guys were forced into that role. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what you guys were taught. Yep. Manhood is, and it's like there has to be a certain humbleness and vulnerability there. Yeah. Like you have to embrace, I guess they call that the feminine side, so that's why I say no title. Yeah,
like a lot of men won't subscribe to the feminine thing. So what I tell men is that you have to be willing to unlearn. To unlearn. Say it again. Unlearn things that, you know what I mean? Learn all the bullshit, you know what I mean? Just to keep it real simple, just unlearn things. I mean, like you said, I get it, man. We were, you know what I mean, a lot of things were put on our shoulders. Just the same as women, just certain societal pressures, you know what I mean? What's expected from a man, what actions define a man, and X, Y, and Z. A lot of that shit gets convoluted. A lot of people take it too far to one side or the other, or they don't have the self-awareness to try to put themselves in this role, knowing that that's not them. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to go to it. So men that are listening, just tap into your self-awareness, tap into your ego. Know when it's your ego and when it's your real emotions. And same go for women too. I mean,
it's so important. Everybody. I mean, this is the demise of our community. We're not self-aware. We're in a war with not only ourselves but each other. Mm-hmm. So once you do the work, that's what shadow work mean. They want to use these big words. Mm-hmm. It just means become self-aware. Face your trauma head on. I mean, that's a problem for a lot of us because you want to just keep moving forward. We're told to keep moving forward. And then it manifests as what? Yeah. Sicknesses and diseases.
Toughen up. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially men. Men go through so many ailments and health issues, and they just don't say nothing to nobody because it's always been a suck it up.
No, because it's, don't be in soft. What is it, guys? Happy wife. Happy life.
It's all ego, man.
And that's not always true.
And that's not always true. So speak your mind.
Yes, and love each other wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
All the things that we're being showed is not true.
Yeah, love yourself first.
Yes.
Love yourself first.
Even the way we have been taught to love each other is toxic.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that, when they get in those situations like that, you have to love yourself first before you love somebody else. Because if you don't, then you don't really know what that even looks like. Then you're kind of cosplaying for, you know what I'm saying? You're like, I'm doing this because I think I'm supposed to do this. Mm-hmm. And
I didn't learn that until I was second divorce, into my 40s. And it's still a journey of what does it look like to love yourself, because the household I grew in, I had to constantly sacrifice myself to prove that I love, or you look a certain way, so you know you're stuck up, so you don't love me, you know. And it's like, oh, you have your shit together, so you know, and it's like, what do I have to do? Cut off my fingers, cut off my hand, be so destitute to prove that I love you. And I had to shut that and love myself. And what love myself meant is put myself first at all times. What works best for me. And people call that selfish. I've been called that my whole life. And I've always been selfless.
I mean,
but people use those words to manipulate you. Be selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Become selfish. Put yourself
selfish
first.
Allows you to do selfless from a full cup.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Be a hypocrite. I'm a self-proclaimed hypocrite.
Yeah, I think I am too at this point.
I say it all the time.
Because we can say it, but it's hard to live it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you always want to prove love.
Yeah, we got this thing. Our word is our born. You know what I mean? And
yes. I will change my mind so quick.
Yeah. So people got that thing, man. So yeah, it's a big thing, and people, that consciousness and self awareness is huge. So yeah, appreciate it.
What lessons do you need to learn to receive love?
What lessons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it start with the food, because if you love yourself, you're gonna eat a certain way for your vessel?
I think my answer is communication.
You think so?
Yeah, I think communication goes further than just what I say. It goes into who I'm saying it to, how they're perceiving what I'm saying, regardless of, then how they are perceiving. If my message, if I go to a 4-year-old and I say something very articulate, this motherfucker not gonna know what I'm talking about because he doesn't have the words to digest that information. So the same thing. So with loving yourself, you got to know yourself. You got to keep it real with yourself. You got to have conversations with yourself, and not run away from the conversation, because we all know. It's just the fact that you gotta incite the conversation within yourself to get the information out. Because if not, that subconscious or that what do you call it?
Ego.
No, it's what's the word I'm looking for?
Perspective.
I want to piggyback off of what you said.
Go ahead.
And then I lost it. Because
cognitive bias. That's what I'm saying. People just you just stay in one lane, just don't even deal with that shit because you don't ever talk to yourself. You don't never deal with
at one point. Talking to yourself was considered crazy. So that's something that you want to also be mindful of when you think that autism is a crazy trait or something, or you think they're slow. Remember, at one point, and guess what is needed? You need to talk to yourself to become self-aware.
Oh, absolutely.
What is that voice? Who?
Yep.
When you ignore that, that's when the problem starts.
That's when it gets crazy. Absolutely.
So why are we being taught these things? Think about that, to keep you away from yourself.
L Boogie?
Yes.
You want to close us out?
Gladfully.
I'm done with the glasses.
But unfortunately, I wish the conversation could last a little bit longer, but we're going to make it digestible for you guys, so we'll come back again. I think we have a lot more to talk about.
For sure.
Absolutely.
But one of the goals of this evening, or I don't even want to timestamp this, one of the goals of this episode is, for all the parents out there who do have autistic children, or you have autistic children or adults in your family who are nonverbal, let's piggyback off of what a humble just said at the end. Communication is really important. So please be open to finding ways and people who are trained in assisting your children or your special being adults to be able to communicate. Just imagine if you have been on this planet for however long you've been on this planet, 34, 54 years, and you've never had the ability to tell someone what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. I'm learning, and there's a thing out there called spellers. I would say look into it. It's been written off by a lot of associations, but just look into it because it's helped a lot of parents be able to know their children who could not speak. Also, eat whole foods. Listen to what Avocado said. Listen to what your girl LB says. Listen to what Humble has told y'all. Eat more whole foods. Eat an apple tomorrow or eat some greens, whatever you like, but just make sure it's real. And really get to know yourself. Get to know yourself and be honest. It may be uncomfortable, but you'll feel a lot better. And I'm so glad that you guys could tune in today. I hope you guys learned something and could take away something. This season is really all about you coming in here and really having something that can grow you or inspire you in a positive way. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hey, one more time, look into this camera and tell people where they find you at.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this camera was here the whole time.
Oh, my God.
This is Avocado. Yeah, I'm looking cross-eyed the whole time. www.avocargova.com. Check us out, y'all.
Check them out.
We appreciate you.
I've been looking cross-eyed at this whole time.
We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Oh, look at me in the rose water. Ooh.
Drink good, taste good, smell good.
Yep, I was about to say some wild shit. All right. Peace. Stop myself.